welcome everybody. Thank you so much for being here to do our important work, because as Reverend Alex said, once a year makes it all the much more important. So the good news is it's only one meeting, but the bad news is that we really need you here for that one meeting. So I'm Maureen Bauman. I'm your president. This is my last meeting with you. I'll be exiting that, but I have really loved being a part of the board, and I just love being a part of this community. I thought the service was fabulous, and I totally agree with Bob. And I've always believed that if you're part of community, that you do something of service. And so I'll be looking for my next assignment after I get off of the board. So I want to affirm, I already know that we had 38 when we first did that. So I'm very excited to see what our number is, because I think we have really great attendance this morning, which is wonderful. So our first agenda item, our first agenda item is to approve our budget. So we had budget forums, and you were able to ask questions and look at our 22-23 budget. So this is not a time for question. This is just to approve a budget, which actually was, I have to acknowledge, we actually funded our aspirational budget. So that was, we had to tweak a few $1,000s, but let's give ourselves a hand, because that.
Here's an update. Out of the blue sky, we got an email this week by a couple that are not members of our congregation, but they're pledging. They emailed this week and said, we're not a member of our congregation, but we're going to start watching it remotely, and we're going to start pledging. So I believe we met everything, in the budget. So yeah,
really. If I had to have wagered, I was going to have lost that particular wager. So I'm the optimist and somewhat of a pessimist, but it's wonderful. I'm thrilled. So I would entertain a motion to approve the proposed Board of Trustees proposed 22-23 budget. Moved by Mary Lee Drake. Do I have a second? Second by, help me, sorry. Kia, sorry, I knew that. All in favor? All in favor, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Is there any?
Just 1 second. We got Bonnie. Okay. Jim has no mic, so it's okay. Yay from Jim. All right.
All right. Are there any nays? And are there any abstentions? All right. Unanimous. The budget passes. Yes, Marcia. 57. 50%. Give yourselves a hand. Excellent. Excellent. So we are voting on the officers. In your current slate, you saw the slate earlier, but we have Marcia Von DeSonic will be the incoming president. Rick Ross has graciously agreed to be the vice president.
Woo! Tom Fry, secretary.
Tom has agreed, last name.
Fry.
Tom Fry has agreed to be our secretary.
Woo!
And Dennison will be doing a second turn as the financial officer. We have 3 members at large. We have Linda Mercurial is a new person coming in to the first of 2 terms. We have John Boland has graciously agreed to do a second 2-year term, so the first of a second year. And Frank, I'm looking for him. Hank. Sorry. Florence is staying on as a second year of a 2-year term. We also have a nominating committee that will be for next year's nominations. I need help with the nominating committee. So we have continuing member of Stevie and Fred. Walters will be continuing, and then Waters. We have 3 new members. they will be, you can- that? That's
Oh,
right.
here, I got it.
Ed Coons has
Ed
agreed
Coons.
to step up to this position. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Mary Piet has agreed to be on the nominating committee, our member. And our Amy Evans has agreed to be on the nominating committee. So great nominating committee. So thank you so much. So I would entertain a motion for both the Board of Trustees and the nominating committee. Moved by Janine. Sorry, my names are not good and when I'm up here. And do I get a second for the nominations? Lori Soper has agreed to second. So all in favor, please raise your hands and say aye. Aye.
Okay. Jim, Bonnie? Okay, see hands up. No objections there, all right?
Any objections? Any abstentions? Woo, we have passed nominating. All right, and now we have a special section right now. Each of the committees has been, chairs has been given quite a challenge, which is to say briefly some things that they accomplished, one or two things that they accomplished in the last year. And I thought I would start with the Board of Trustees because I am just so thrilled the board was able to get a recommendation from the search committee, which was included board members in the past search committee. And we were successful in contracting with our Reverend Alex. And that I feel like is the best thing that we did in the last year. So I will turn it over next to our RE committee.
Well, I have like a list here, but I'm not gonna, I'm really proud of what our committee is. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So I'm the chair of the Children, Youth, Religious Education Committee. And it's been quite a year because we haven't had a DRE director. And so we've been trying to hodgepodge things together, but we've had such incredible leadership with Rev Alex. And I think one of our most exciting and biggest accomplishments is that we did just hire a DRE director of Ann White, and she's going to be incredible. She is going to be incredible. She just fits right in with our values. A couple other accomplishments from the year is we continued our religious education classes. We continue to hold community events such as pumpkin carving, karaoke, things of that nature. And then we did an entire OWL Our Whole Lives program was accomplished this year, which was incredible for our youth to be able to participate in that program. So those are some of our highlights for the year.
Okay, I'm not chair of anything, but Stevie Ray, who's chair of the stewardship committee and fundraising, is in Southern California. So she just asked me to report that stewardship, we were able to meet our dream goal this year, $190,000, which is amazing. And we had 2 successful fundraisers this year. I don't remember how much we made, but it was somewhere around $8,000 or $9,000, which was short of our goal, but we did it. We did what we could. And then the other committee that I'm reporting from is Finance Committee, and you've already seen the budget that we've proposed. We've done extremely well this year. Don't know the final year to date how we've done, but we are very close to being in the black. If you disregard the about $10,000 that we had to spend on the tree and the sidewalk and the plumbing. So those were not put in the budget, and we're still in pretty good shape. So thank you to everybody. Oh. Thank you.
So if you didn't catch that, deep gratitude, astonishment, and gratitude for everyone, the entire team that did the fundraising for the HVAC and the roof. campaign that went beyond and above our goal and our needs. And I will be talking a little bit about that in a little bit. So thank you, Kia, for the plug.
Thank you, Kia. You beat me to it. I forgot it. And no, Maureen
No,
reminded
it's
me.
good.
I appreciate your help. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Mary Piet, Chair of the Membership Committee, and I'm happy to say that this year was a good year with the arrival of Reverend Alex and resumption of in-person services. We're up 20 new members in the past church year. That might be a record in all the years going back. And we're at 113 members today, if anybody's curious. If you'd like to do anything to help this effort, there's one fairly easy task that doesn't require a lot of time, and that would be to sign up to be in our Sunday welcomer rotation to greet people. So we're looking for people to help with that. Thank you.
Mhm.
Hi, I'm Amy Evans. I'm representing the worship committee. We welcomed, broke in, trained a new minister. It's been a lot of fun. The combining of styles from some more traditional, rigid, perhaps ways that we were used to doing things to bring in something different. I will be honest, it's not been without challenge, and we operate in right relations and have just had a great year. Other major accomplishment, I don't know, and I'll have to attribute it to Reverend Alex, getting so many of you involved in worship. Worship is so important to me. It's my artistic outlet to be able to share. I told Reverend Alex, that helps as I examine a topic. That's how I do my spiritual exploration, is by sitting down and actually thinking about it. So that's the worship committee. Thank you.
I'm Joan Lactus. I'm the chair of the Communications Committee. I'm the chair of a committee of two. It's just Amy Evans and me are the only two there. And we just have these very specific tasks of managing the two church Facebook pages and the website, and just monitoring things that are in the Auburn Journal and e-beacon things. And this year, the major accomplishment was that we ceased publication of the print newsletter, which was with all the stuff that's online, it was out of date before it ever appeared. It was a lot of work to produce. And so we have moved that the e-beacon is on the website, so that if you don't get the e-beacon, you can always go to the website and it's always there and it's up to date every week. So that's what we did this week.
Hi, I'm Bob Niblak, and I'm representing the Building and Grounds Committee.
Whew.
As you've already heard, some of these things that are going on with buildings and ground, replacing that sidewalk out there so that kids don't trip and smash their faces. So we've raised the funds for the roof so we don't have any more leaks if it ever does rain again. These things are taking place at a much higher level, at the board level. There's a lot of money there. But as I look around this room, there are a lot of things that still need to be done in buildings and grounds. So I want to use this opportunity to look out there and see who's good at fixing things. All right. Well, yeah.
Mark.
Talk to me, because it's been 2 years since we've had what in the past we'd hold twice a year a cleanup and fix up day where we would scour this room. We change the air filters. We do all kinds of stuff. And we haven't done that for 2 years.
Oh, we changed the air filters.
You and I changed the air filters.
We did
yes.
that.
Yeah, we're good on that. Okay. But there's other things to be done.
Yes.
That was easy. And it'd be great to have your help. And I'm going to try to get one of those days going again. And I look forward to a lot of people saying, yeah, I'll be there.
All right.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you for all the committees. So I will now turn it over to Reverend Alex.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Well, can I get another round of applause for this village? Because it takes a village. Right? It really does. And so I'm really, really grateful because I get a paycheck. You don't. You get a butler in heaven. Best case scenario. Right? And I preach there's no hell. I'm hoping there's heaven. So I really do hope you get a butler in heaven in a pool with a pool person. Just saying, right? But if we look around, and it's a part of some of our job, children and youth, who are the children that we don't have here. We don't have an evangelism team, we have a social justice team, right? Which can be one of the same. Who are the folks that may not feel welcomed or may hope to come and might, in theory, feel welcome, but physically will not be welcomed in our space? Have you thought about it? Have you noticed that we cannot invite a child with mobility issues into our congregation? Because our e-space is quite a few steps down, yeah? And we cannot hire a DRE, and that was very, very obvious to me when we were getting in this process of hiring new staff, that, oh, there's a whole pool of people that we are depriving ourselves from considering as our match, because our AE space is down below for the hiring of RE, but what if we're hiring more administrative staff? Our offices are at least 2 steps up, yeah, from a backdoor ramp. Now, let me say this, I'm appreciative for it. And I learned the lesson and the story about how that came about. Yet, and still, it's a separate but equal circumstance. It's a back door. And we have a current member of this congregation with mobility issues that was offered to go through a ramp because it's safer, because our front steps, there's a step there. So it may look like to us that can move our legs, that it's accessible, but it's not. And this person that has a challenge with mobility said, no, I want to go through the front door, not through the back door, right? And I don't know if you noticed, but a little while ago, you were searching for a minister. What if I were in a wheelchair? What's that? Where would my office be? In the social hall? It's a great place, and we have plans for that. But, okay, how about the pulpit? We can't invite a guest preacher, somebody that may have that message that you've been waiting all along, like, some of you might have been waiting for Bob this morning. We cannot invite somebody because the pulpit is not accessible. Yes? And granted, and I have done it, you've seen it, I have dragged that pulpit down here. But that's a longer story about anti-clericalism, about equity, and everybody having the same chair, everybody having the same power, gathering in around so we see each other, because the important thing may be happening right there, not right here, right? So you getting where I've been for a little while? So what can we do? It so happened that I have academic and professional training in architecture. So if I think of a physical problem, I also think of possibilities. And for every problem, there is a solution, at least a Band-Aid, right? So a Band-Aid would be level up this floor in the sanctuary. That way, we can have a guest preacher or a minister or an admin person that may have accessibility needs. Yeah? Now, how about the children? Well, I'll give up my office and we have the founder's room. We'll convert that into an RE space. Well, the sound barrier, we can fix that. There are ways for people to have sound booths in an apartment, right? So we can take care of that. And let me say this, it won't be ideal. I have the ideal solution, fear not. But for today, and this is a conversation, because I panicked in the middle of the night, I think about you a lot, and I think about this congregation a lot, but in the middle of the night, I was like, oh my God, we're putting a new roof on top of an RE building that does not meet the children, period. Even the children that can run there, it's far away, it's a couple steps down, it's crowded, it's clustered, the air circulation, it's right. Can I get an amen that's building? Thank you, Ann White, our new director of religion education. Yes, not happening. So we're putting a new roof on top of that building. And I panicked. I called Marsha. Marsha, can we meet? Can we meet this morning? Can we meet now? Marsha, can we put a stop on putting a new roof on the building that is not serving us? And let's have a conversation. So I had a 1-hour meeting with her. Then I had a 1-hour meeting with Marsha and Maureen about this. Then I met with the board. Then I met with Bob, and I met with Tom, and I met with Javier. And I was like, okay, am I bananas? The answer is yes, I'm bananas. And we need to do some things. Can we at least stop spending money and putting a roof on a building that is not serving us? And we can have this conversation later. But if we do that, we'll have some money in the bank because we raised more than we needed for the roof, which is an urgent need, a need that existed. And we're like, we got to take care of that. And you did. You took care of it. And HVAC. We're living in a world where ventilation is vital more than ever. So we got money for the HVAC. We got money for the roof. And that roof is not leaking, at least not yet, right? So let's stop that. Have the money, save the money, and have the conversation about that building, which is I have the drawings already. No, I don't have the drawings, it's in my head, but we can talk about that. But for today, I wanted to acknowledge this problem that's been acknowledged by the board, by our buildings and facilities, by the leaders of this community, and present that to you. We have raised the money, we have enough money that we can take care of the roof that is leaking, that we can take care of the HVAC, and that we can invest on making the sanctuary accessible. Yes? But we need to have you decide on it because the money was raised for two purposes, HVAC and roof. If we spend on anything else, it is only right and democratic and vital that you acknowledge the problem and that you on board with us. So that will be what I'm going to call for a vote in leveling up the sanctuary, making the pulpit accessible, making the office accessible, because if a parishioner, this is another demographic, if there's a parishioner that'd like to meet with me and they have accessibility issues, I have to go to them, which is great, and I have no problem doing that. But if they want to meet in my office, have that amazing privilege because I have amazing chocolate in there, I can't. So you get the problem, right? So we have a problem and we have a solution. So right now, I'll entertain questions and comments before I call it for a vote. And we have Kelly, and we'll wait for the mic to go around so our folks at home can hear your important comments and questions.
What is the cost difference between this and what you're suggesting?
Yeah, I had a feeling that question would come up. So the question, if you didn't get it, it's what's the cost? What's the investment needed to make the sanctuary accessible? I had 3 people, but the estimate is not done, right? 3 people. One is Javier, who does a lot of construction and worked in some of your houses, does amazing work. So Javier is putting some numbers down. And I had another member of the meditation putting some numbers now, and there is a 3rd one. So I don't have the exact number. That's the short answer. And my question is, how much is it too much to make sure at least the sanctuary is accessible to everyone? So money matters. Yeah, I have a lot of debt personally that I have to pay and I need a salary. And you have your financial obligations, right? So we know the difference in the cost, right? That we were bid at 55 for the roof. And if we reduce that, it would be to about 41 with gutters. So there's not a lot of money that we'll save. It's about 5K, Marcia, Maureen? Yeah, about 5K. So if we decide we're not going to do anything with that building and we need a new roof there, later on, we will do that roof after we have this discernment, and it may cost us a little bit more. Is that clear? Does that answer your question? And Maureen, you up, so you might have a comment.
Right. So I guess I think the initial,
Sorry, I might have turned it off. Dyslexia.
I do think the initial question is a delay, is to pause the roof on the RE space, because that will complicate things.
Mhm.
I think the rest of this conversation
Correct.
would be more of an affirmation in terms of going forward, because there's a lot of exploration that needs to happen
Correct.
in terms of cost and how it's going to happen. And if we can do it all at once, we need to do more campaigning and all of
Yes,
that stuff.
yeah.
So I just, to
Mhm.
keep it simple and because we also didn't specifically identify this as an issue, we have you looking ahead, and this is a critical issue. So
Yeah.
I think the specific part is to stop the roof right
Yeah.
now, and then affirm that we want to make this, this building,
Mhm.
or my favorite is a different building, but we need.
We'll talk about it. Yeah.
Exactly. We need to evaluate from there how to get to
Correct. Yeah.
accessibility.
So for practical purposes, we're not taking a mortgage or a loan. Whatever that we do, it will be with the funds that we already have. So the decision for you to make is to allow the board to retain that power to use the money that has already been raised to address the needs that we already have. That's the issue. That's the question before you. Do we tell board, you get to do it? And of course, the board is going to work with Tom Piet, who's an architect. Thank you very much. Got another one, Javier, and other members of our congregation, Bob Niblack, and so forth. And there were two more questions. I'm going to go to Mary Lou, because she's raised it a little earlier. I don't want to.
I just wanted to know in general terms, how you raise this
Mhm.
and still get people in and so forth.
Okay.
Just in very general terms.
Very generally speaking, there's a false floor, that's the word, that will be placed on top of this. So a false floor, so the 0.0, which is the foyer and the social hall, will become a 0.0 to the chancel. So imagine you're floating up in air and it's just leveled up from here to there. Yeah? No, it's maybe a negligible 1-inch difference of height between that and that. So it's same level. From that, offices, founder's room. By lowering that, we really don't solve the problem, because we would have to lower the entire floor beyond the chancel. Because the office and the administrative office, yeah, Kia, and we'll go back to.
So just for clarity in my thinking, the real question, we've got two things ahead of us. One is a big decision for the future, but for today,
For today,
we
it's
want
just-
to make sure that we abide by the bylaws and say that even though the money was originally raised for purpose A, we want to give permission for it to be used for other purposes to be determined by the board. Is that's
the
really what
motion.
we're going to vote on,
Correct.
right?
That's the motion. Everything else, we'll talk about it later.
And I think that's where I was going to. It seems like we need to find out from the congregation if going forward with making our whole facility more accessible is the direction that we want to go.
Correct.
And then if we get that vote, then those other things would fall in place.
Correct. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Gee, I've been a board member for a whole 20 minutes, so I'm going to throw my weight around. How about that?
Of course.
So, by the way, I'm a walking quadriplegic. Through some miracle, 12 years ago when I fell and broke my neck, I was able to walk again. And let me tell you, there's a thing called the American Disabilities Act.
Hmm.
It's actually the law that we're supposed to be able to help disabled people in any way we can. That's the law. There's some places where you'd say we don't have a public restroom. It's because they would need to be ADA compliant. So they'd say, you go down the street to the gas station, you can go to the bathroom there, but we don't have the money to upgrade ours. And I noticed that our bathrooms here are wheelchair accessible. So I know that people have looked at this before. And anyway, I just want to say that I'm an advocate for people with disabilities, and anything we can do to help that along is not only just something I'd like to see, it's actually required by law. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Any other questions? Clarifying once again, the motion is to empower the Board of Trustees to use the funds that we already have for the purposes that they were raised: HVAC, roof, and now whatever other needs.
Maybe you just answered what I wanted to ask, which was, I want the clarification of the priorities, which I think are roofing this building
Mhm.
and the HVAC. And maybe, and it sounds like the priority we're moving aside is roofing the RE building.
Correct. Yes, we are not, that's the, yeah. The roof will be paused on the RE building, because that's a much longer conversation. And with regards of priority, I don't think I heard hierarchy of priority necessarily, but these are all priorities, right? And those are the three. So thank you for the clarification.
So I'm a visual learner.
Yeah.
And for something this important where we're, people have donated money,
little
and I
closer.
totally agree. We need,
A little closer, Gemma.
I agree. And it is a priority to make our services and everything else accessible. But I feel like I'd like to see something, just sentence in writing. What are we voting on? Or, that would help me a lot, because there's the conversation.
Okay,
Since
so
we're just coming here today and it's all new.
yeah. I'll repeat that again. I don't have it in writing, but maybe this, we are empowering the Board of Trustees.
That's me now.
That's you now, right?
I want to really understand.
To take care of the roof as needed, yeah,
Over just this space.
in the front.
Okay,
Hold off the RE roof,
okay.
take care of HVAC, and level the sanctuary with whatever funds we already have. If that cost is going to exceed what we have as funds, we'll have this conversation again with the congregation, so the congregation can say, yeah, we recognize that problem. We don't have money to take care of these three things. We're going to need to raise more money, loans, mortgage, whatever it may be, sell the car.
Is someone writing this down?
I'm trying.
I just feel
Yeah.
like that part is important.
So I guess. So I do think that the rules, I'm going to back us up just a little bit. So the changes that the roof is going to go on, except for the RE space, which is a smaller space that doesn't currently have a leak, and we're going to do the 2 HVACs as promised. We'll have some money left over, and I think the rest of it is really exploration. So I think we should probably just take a vote on that and empower the board to. I can't imagine that we won't need more money in this process. And so I just think that, and we have a lot of work to do to figure out what this is going to cost, what the RE space is going to cost, what, or even creatively what the options are going to be.
Right, that's what I feel more comfortable with.
Okay.
And it might mean that we are going to have to meet again. So we had one
Okay.
meeting, but it's important.
So let me do this, a friendly amendment, which by the way, is not a thing. An amendment, it's an amendment, right? Not a thing. About friendly amendment. I want us to trust the board. And if you don't, and you like to be part of this conversation actively, right, constructively, we'll create a task force for buildings and grounds. Bob just mentioned that, right? Because bureaucracy and democracy can be a problem at times, and just stall taking care of what needs caring. Right? And I'm not saying that you're suggesting that. What I'm saying is slightly modification there. We have an amount of money which exceeds $80,000. And we know that the roof over here is going to be about 41. With me on the math? And the HVAC, we had estimated at about 15. So you following? Where are we? 57, 60,000? So there's over 20,000, almost $30,000 that was raised that could take care of this. And I'll be transparent, right relations here. I really, would that be necessary to call for another annual meeting to decide to do what needs to be done, which is leveling this sanctuary, right? If we already have the $30,000 there, and it may cause with cost within that amount, my call is for you to trust the board. And if you have questions or contributions to be made, join this task force. And we'll stay within what is already there. I'm not asking you to take a loan. I'm not asking you to give more. I'm saying what we have might be enough. And if not, we'll get back to you before we do it. And you're not on the hook for anything. Is that clear?
Can I ask a clarifying question though?
Yeah.
Because I guess for me, I wasn't saying, it wasn't clear to me that this was more important than the RE space, because you identified both things as being hugely problematic.
Correct, they are.
That's
Yeah.
why I didn't understand how.
Yes,
that picked
they
one
are.
over
Yeah.
the other, so
Yeah.
that's all.
Yeah, I think they are hugely, access is really important. And if we cannot welcome a child with mobility needs, we have a very serious problem. Just saying, like, yeah. So you're getting my feelings. Yet, there are limitations. We have just so much money, right? And time and effort and all of that. So for today, we know how much money we have, and we know the problems that we have. Are you willing to empower your board and the task force to take care of the three problems? Roof, HVAC, accessibility for this. We'll talk about the RE later on. Yes? And we have one question here, and I think one there and one there.
So I'm all for empowering the board, and I almost generally follow what the board recommends, but we've got a new board who hasn't even met yet or talked about this. And I would feel more comfortable if we urge the board today to please address this as soon as possible and give us the official recommendation out with the numbers. And I agree, we shouldn't take all year to do that, but I would, yeah, it just seems like really quick
So,
here. And the other thing I'd like to ask is if I know that the roof over RE is okay now, but what if in a year or two, there's some more leaks sprouting there? Does Bob feel that roof, or Marcia, is pretty safe for a while? If it did start leaking, would it cost more then than now to do something? So I just have questions like
A
that.
couple corrections, though. We don't have a new board. We have two new members because the majority of the board members were asked to stay, not because of that, because you have a new minister, right? So I asked the members to stay for continuity's sake. So that was the question. So it's two members that are new to this conversation, are getting this conversation today. But the board has deliberated, has discussed these three problems, and maybe we're thinking differently about a resolution, but what's been proposed is trust the Board of Trustees to stay within the amount of money we already have, to do what we committed to do, and if we have enough money, to take care of this other problem, which is accessibility for the sanctuary. We're clear on that? Okay.
I was just going to say that the new board actually doesn't become a new board until July 1st.
Mhm.
And you're off the hook, Linda. And
Working ahead of time.
also, forgot what I was going to say. The one unknown besides what it would cost to do this is we don't know dry rot and what repairs are going to need to be done.
Mhm.
What I would propose is saying that I need to get back to the roofing company tomorrow.
Mhm.
I would like to say, with the congregation's approval, is that we're just going to do this section. It's about $5,000 to do the other part of the roof, and which isn't an exorbitant amount compared to what it's going to cost to do this part. And that once the roof is completed, which it's supposed to start the middle of July, we'll have a better idea of how much money we're going to have left and see where we go from here. Also, I believe the initial bringing in of money words are not working right now. The original ask was for at least one HVAC unit, not necessarily two.
Correct. Correct.
So we still have a few unknowns in this, but we certainly have the funds to do this and at least one HVAC unit. And we can certainly look at, by then we'll know what it would cost to replace the floor and whatever else.
Well, I have made the motion earlier on. So we're crafting it and we'll come back to it. So a couple of questions.
So I guess when I thought we were going to do both HVACs because they're both.
I'm
on
sorry,
their
we
way
have
out.
too many, just one at a time, please.
I thought we were going to do both HVACs because we know that the filtering of the air and all that stuff is critically important. So I thought you had talked about two as well when we were talking about.
And we can go back to the records about if it's one or two, because that's recorded. So that's easy, right? And it's clear. Roof, HVAC, if there's enough money, we'll take care of the floor. If there's not enough money, we'll come back and that money will be sitting in the bank. Because what I feel it's being missed here. And I understand that money generates anxiety. Yeah, I acknowledge that. We're not talking about raising more money to do something else. We're talking about taking care of an existing problem with the money we already have. Is that clear? Okay.
Hello.
Yes.
Our bylaws state that notice of a congregational meeting shall state the place, date, and time of the meeting. All business to be transacted at the meeting shall be specified in the notice of the meeting. Was this specified in the notice of the meeting?
No.
Then we're violating the bylaws to
Oh,
continue on it.
okay. Okay. Well, okay. Well, I'm getting some feelings here, and feelings are important and they exist, and they're facts that sometimes are the same as feelings and sometimes are not. So if the consensus is that we are violating the law, and I'll go back to what was said earlier on, is the bylaw made for us or us made for the bylaws?
Rev. Alex, I don't think we're anxious about the money. I think it's the democracy part of it because it wasn't on the list and there are people.
Would you mind?
Sorry, there
yes.
are people who might not be at this meeting who didn't know we were going to talk about leveling the floor. So I am all 100% behind exploration of this and then getting back to the congregation about what you propose, what they propose to do for this. So I don't know if other people feel this way, but I think it's not the anxiety about the money.
Well,
It's just the
I said I'm
democracy.
sensing it, and I'm not going to speak for everybody because I don't know. I don't know, right? I'm sensing it. And if I'm wrong, I'd love to be corrected. So since I'm bringing this up, right, and there's a question about legality and appropriateness, right? If you want to have another annual meeting, go for it. Go for it. The spirit that I brought this up, it's not to violate any law. I'm going to say this again. It's not to violate any law or circumvent anything. I had a number of conversations with everyone I mentioned earlier. Yeah, so clear and transparent, always high value. And I thought that hearing that we have, the money that we have, and hearing the problem that we have, that we would take care of it within that range. This is the money, can take care of it. Board, please act as we elected you to do. Take care of the problem. However, if you need more information and you want another meeting, Colleen.
Just as a new member,
Yes.
and just hearing this, well, first of all, I just want to share, I think it's wonderful. as a new
Mhm.
member to
Mm.
hear everybody's voice. I just
Mm.
got to say that as a new member.
Mhm.
Oh my God. And I appreciate this process. Some of us didn't have safe places to express different feelings and
Mhm,
what I
mhm.
hear. And I just wanted to share what I hear. I heard that, there was a part of the roof that could be postponed for a little bit. And I heard a priority is rising around accessibility for
Mm.
this facility.
Mm.
And
Mm.
that's a huge encompassing thing. It's not
Mhm.
just a floor.
Mhm.
This is about the hearing impaired, not only physically
Mm.
impaired,
Mhm.
hearing impaired, other impaired,
Mhm.
or other
Mhm.
things that I think deserves a standing committee. I mean, to me,
Mhm.
it is one of the most important things that we do in
Mhm.
providing equity in all
Mhm.
ways. So what I heard was, I heard from you that priority feels like it's raising up for some reason, becoming real, not for some reason, for necessary purposes. So I think, maybe it's deserving of all of us, talking about what priorities that would be, and financially, what do we want to do first? And then what do
Mhm.
we want to work
Mhm.
on?
Mhm.
And I heard you just want to stop part of the roof right now that's going to be spent, and maybe wait and
Mhm.
see if there's something we can do with that.
Mhm. Mhm. Thank you. And just so it's not missed, because I'm also afraid it's being missed. Tom, our new member of the board, who's a walking paraplegic, pointed this out. It's not a matter of high priority or personal concern. It is the law that we have been able to be grandfathered in because this building was built before this law. We're clear? Okay, thank you. There were a couple questions back there.
Well,
Oh.
I want to speak, I'm all for doing this,
Mhm.
but I'm not completely sure that the board isn't already empowered to change how this money is spent. So I don't know that we need a congregational vote. And the other thing that this is twice now today, you said, is the law made for us or are we made for the law?
Mhm.
The law is made for us and by us.
Mhm.
And we all agreed that we made these bylaws. And we
Yes.
have all agreed that this is the way we're going to do our governance. And so none of us is empowered to just say, we want to do something against the bylaws. None of us. We have a process for deciding that we want to change the bylaws. We're not trying to be a bunch of jerks here, Alex. This is the way we agreed to govern each other. And it's important to us that we honor that agreement that we made to each other.
Thank you for that. And I hope you heard that if this is how you want to go about it. Well, you have the power to make decisions. And you raised the question that the Board of Trustees may already have the power to spend the money that has already been raised. So we're not talking about monies to be raised. We're talking about the money that is in the bank. Is the board empowered to do that? There is the question of it was raised to do A and B. I'll go back to it. It's raised to do A and B. If we're doing C, the people that raise the money has the power, regardless of the bylaws, to say, yeah, we raise the money to do the roof and the HVAC. And guess what? We can do the roof, the HVAC, and the accessibility. You have the power to do that. It's not in violation of the bylaws. Unless you go to the letter of the law and you said, well, it was not in the agenda, we didn't discuss it, I'm caught offhand. And if that's the question, and you're saying, I refuse to vote on this, then you stick to democracy and you vote, yeah, this is a question I want to entertain and we're going to vote on it. And for the ones that don't want to vote on it, don't believe it's in violation with the agenda, with the bylaws, that the Board of Trustees can spend the money that was raised as they so choose. Great. You say no, can't do that, right?
So if I'm
Can you hear me?
understanding, if we can
Hello?
call for a vote on we've raised the money, we're going to do this part of the roof and the HVAC, and we're all agreed on that. It seems to me that we can vote on that. It seems, if I'm hearing correctly, because we didn't post the specifics of what extra money might be spent on, it still doesn't necessarily seem to me that we'd need an entire congregational meeting, because there's many times that decisions are made through the board where we are informed as a congregation, and we will get the ability to say yay or nay. And clearly there's more information that's going to come out about what the floor might cost, and we all see it as a priority. So it seems to me that we can still vote on empowering the board to do the roof, to do the HVAC, and then to come back to the congregation when there's been more work done on cost of floor, of whatever we would want to spend excess money on, whether it was the floor or anything else. And additionally, I just wanted to point out that anybody sitting in this room is entitled and can attend a board meeting. Our board meetings are not private. They're open to anybody of the congregation. And if you specifically have input and strong opinion about where extra money would go, I would encourage participation at a board meeting. You let them know that you're coming, and they are really long from what I hear. But
Not the way they used to be.
There's a hand, yeah, back there. Thank you. It's Rick, yeah, and Rosalind, yeah.
I'm not sure. Well, thank you. Rick said.
Well, I'm just wondering, since it sounds as though we don't necessarily need a vote about whether or not the board can shift some of these funds, as long as where people were expecting the money to go is actually being taken care of. At least that's how it sounds to me with the HVAC and the roof. That maybe we just flip the emphasis on the discussion to more like a resolution or something, that going forward, we want to be putting way more focus on getting our place accessible, so that the next time there's a round for budgets, it's already out there that this is really where we, and so then if there is money, or if we call a halt on completing the roof as originally thought, it's already there, that's something, and the exploration can be happening and all of that, and then there's a little less fear or concern about the long and difficult process of doing bylaws, and people evaluating whether or not the money they gave is going where they want it to go. I just,
Thank you,
I would
Rosalind.
feel really
Just-
comfortable to make a stand about it's time, you know, accessibility is leaking. It's time to fix that, you know, and then we don't have to worry.
So for clarification, the money was raised for A and B. If we do C, we need the congregation to be on board with that. That's my understanding. If the board feels that they have the power to use whatever money left to do whatever else is needed, it's for the board, and the board members are here to speak up and say, no, we have that power. We're just being transparent and communicating with you that whatever money we have left, we'll take care of that. And we have a member of the board that might, oh, Rick, sorry. Oh, Jim, you can speak up, yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Do you mind turning up the house sound for the Zoom? A little louder, please. Thank you. Go ahead, Jim.
Well, I'm not going to say too much that I haven't already heard, but I just wanted to say that I
Can you
agree
hear?
that
Okay.
I agree that it makes sense to discuss this at this meeting, but to have a vote would be out of order because it was not included in the agenda. I also agree that the board, our bylaws give the board almost unlimited power in terms of raising and spending money. So it's not really necessary to go to the congregation for a vote, though it may be desirable for very important matters. And so I don't think this is something we need to decide at this meeting, since it wasn't on the agenda.
Okay.
So many times in situations, and this happens in other organizations where you can't take a vote because we have an agreement about where we're operating, we still get input from people. It's called a straw vote. And so we would still definitely want the congregation's opinion about this situation. So I think that is the kind of vote we could take. It's not an official motion and a vote, but it's definitely getting input, which is critical because that was your intent, was to get input from the congregation in terms of what we have going forward. So
I think that's an awesome idea, Maureen. I really like it. What I would propose is that we do a straw vote. This is what I would like to see, maybe not everybody, but straw vote on deferring the roof over the RE section, doing all the rest of this, doing at least one HVAC, because we really haven't looked into the HVACs yet, but we know we need at least one. They're older than hills. We probably need two, but they're both, yeah, that's another story. We need to have both of them. Well, where is he? Oh, hello. Anyway, let me finish. So the HVAC, however we plan on doing that. Personally, I like the idea of the flooring, but at the moment, we don't know what we're going to have left over. And I think that I'd like to see this. I'd like to see the straw vote, and that's what I would propose. I think somebody had a question.
Yeah, Bob was making the comment about HVAC.
why don't we just get input? We can do one or two. So why don't we get input in terms of those folks that are interested in pausing on the RE space roof? I'm gonna ask.
Separate, let's go part by part.
Part by part. I'm gonna, I'm gonna go to the rest of them too. I'm not including the HVAC. I'm just saying the roof first, just for clarity. So interest in pausing on the roof. People understand? Okay. To give pausing on the RE roof to allow, this isn't a vote, this is input to allow for consideration of the building and the opportunities. The second part is, and I'll defer to Bob, one or two HVACs. Sure.
Yes, please. So folks at home can hear you.
Yeah, we have 3 HVAC systems that run this place, and one was changed about 6 years ago, and that cost about $7,000, and it had estimates up to 10,000. That takes care of these offices in the RE space. And last time, you know how you have somebody come over and check out your heating, air conditioning, maybe once, maybe twice a year. Last time the guy came over, he said, boy, these are old. They are old. They're both from 1985 or so, 1986. And he said, I don't even think I can get parts for these. So that's what brings up the question. They're both about the same age. One takes care of that, one takes care of this. What I would like to see is take care of this part of the roof, let's do both HVAC systems and see what's left.
All right. So who would be, the next piece would be, we go ahead and continue with the 2 HVCs in terms of getting those done. Okay. And I'm not asking for nays because I'm just getting that it looks like the majority of people are raising their hand. Okay, and then I guess the last one is input on affirmation about prioritizing ADA compliance so that this building, explore what the options are. This building, what is the options, because there's multiple areas in this building, so. All right. So we have affirmation
On all 3. Okay, we have affirmation on all 3. And I'm a bit of a parliamentarian. And by the way, you have the power to suspend the rules, to do whatever is needed. So please don't ever hold yourself back if you feel strongly moved that something needs tending. We're clear about that? Okay.
Okay, we really need to get to the next agenda. Okay. So I would invite,
you okay?
one more thing. We are going to.
I heard of God back there.
We're going to do our Pillar of the Church Award. And, you know, I really had dreams of getting us out a while ago, but I really, really want to appreciate the robust conversation and everybody's participation.
So this is sort of we can end on sort of a positive note. The highest honor that SFUU gives each year is called the Pillar of the Church Award. Per the Board of Trustees' direction, the active past pillars met in early April to select the recipient of this year's award. To be eligible for this award, you must have been a member in good standing for at least 5 years. In addition, you must have displayed both depth and breadth of service to SFUU, including demonstrated leadership in the congregation. Once you receive this award, your name goes on a plaque in the foyer of our church building and onto the pillars page of our website. Later, you get the great joy of herding all the past pillars together to select the next year's pillar. And then you get to bestow the mantle of pillarhood to the selectee during our annual congregational meeting. The following is a synopsis of accolades given to this year's recipient by SFUU's past pillars. Last year's pillar was Suzanne Borth, but she is on a much needed vacation, so I am reading this instead. I am honored to be reading it. The member proposed this year has engaged for nearly 30 years of service in a broad variety of church activities. They are very active in fundraising. They have even chaired the auction committee on occasion, and they are relentlessly positive, often keeping hope alive that we will meet our goal even when other members are feeling discouraged and hopeless. They bring music, organization, and inspiring words to our worship celebrations. Way back in the 90s, when we didn't have a consistent minister, this member was always willing to jump in and deliver an amazing Sunday service. They've been active with membership through the years. They've been supportive and active in CYRE in the past, even long after their children bridged out. And even this year, they moved out of their comfort zone to get training in a whole new area, OWL, when the call was made that we were in need. And they were not expecting to have to be a Zoom wizard when they took the job of church administrator 3 years ago. But boy, did they learn fast. Far beyond the parameters of their job, they learned, they taught, and they patiently troubleshot every Sunday for more than a year. Vicki Jungers has grown and blossomed alongside this congregation, and it is about time we honored this amazing human.
I'm glad I wear my party pants. I did not expect this.
I forgot my tag. You can hug me. Yes, that's okay. Oh my God. Thank you. Okay, thank you. This was very unexpected. Anyway, I love SFUU. I have been here for a long time. It's my enormous pleasure, everything that I do, and it feeds my soul. So I don't know what else to say. Thank you very much.
And we surprised her. That was fabulous. All right. So I believe we've completed our agenda. Thank you so much for staying and participating.
Yes. For the ones feeling called to be part of a task force, to collaborate with the board, please come forward. Would love to partner with you. It's an altar call. Yes. And if the Spirit says move, move, or being slayed in the Spirit. So thank you again. Yes.
Thank you so much.